Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Yesterday I talked a little bit about Ghiba and controlling the tongue. And on the way out, some people requested me to go into a little bit more detail on the issue. Because, for example, there are certain instances where Ghiba and talking behind somebody's back may become permissible. So, that and the rulings, if you've done Ghiba of somebody, what should you do to seek forgiveness from him? These are things that we should all know about. So we heard yesterday the ayat of the Quran in which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says that doing Ghiba is like consuming the flesh of your dead brother. Going on to the hadith, the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he was on the night of Laylatul Qadr, he was passing by the people of Jahannam, and he saw people that they had nails made out of brass. They had nails made out of brass, and they were basically scratching their own faces with those nails, their faces and their chests. The Prophet ﷺ, he says that I addressed Jibreel alayhi salam and I asked him, Man ha'ula'i ya Jibreel? Who are these people, O Jibreel? قال هؤلاء الذين يأكلون لحوم الناس ويقعون في أعراضهم. Jibreel replied and said, these are the people that used to eat the meat of the people, meaning they used to backbite about the people, and they used to fall into their honor, meaning they used to delve into their honor. Honor meaning their dignity, their respect, talk about them behind their back with the intention of dishonoring them or blemishing their honor. So this is the punishment that the Prophet ﷺ saw on the night of Mi'raj for those people that were engaging in Ghiba. Why do people engage in Ghiba? What is the reason? There are many reasons that can happen. One is jealousy. A person is simply jealous of somebody, jealous of his success, jealous of his position, jealous of what he has. So jealousy leads him to badmouth him in front of other people. The other thing is just simply he doesn't like him. He doesn't like the person that he's doing Ghiba of, so therefore he does it. He wants to just ridicule him. And also, he may not have anything against that particular person, but just because he is in bad company and that bad company wants to engage in Ghiba and joke about other people, therefore going along with the flow of the people, he involves himself in the Ghiba also. So many reasons occur through which a person becomes a victim or the criminal in this case of engaging in Ghiba and backbiting about people. There are ways to fix the Ghiba. There are two ways. One is a mujmal way, which is basically a simple way, and one is a mufassal way, which is more detailed. The simple way is that a person should be reminded, or he should remind himself of the gravity of the sin that he is committing. And also, he should remind himself that it is equivalent to eating the flesh of dead people. And also, he needs to remind himself that he is turning over his hasanat to the person that he is doing Ghiba of. Okay, you dislike a person, okay, keep that dislike to yourself. Because if you are doing his Ghiba, you are basically benefiting him. You are benefiting him by turning over your own good deeds to him. So if you dislike him so much, keep your opinion to yourself. He won't get your good deeds. Okay, so he needs to remind himself that this is going to happen, that my hasanat are going to him on the Day of Judgment. So these are the things, the simple things that a person needs to remind himself. If you want to go into detail, a person needs to also look at the reasoning that is making him do the ghiba itself, and he needs to get rid of that reason. For example, if it is a dislike of a person, or if it's jealousy, jealousy is an evil that is inside of me. If I'm engaging in ghiba because of jealousy, that is not because of any bad in that person, that is an evil inside of me that I need to remove. And I've mentioned before in my lectures that evil things that occur in a person's heart, they are known collectively in the Arabic language as ghil. What is ghil? Ghil is an all-inclusive name that includes all of the impurities of the heart. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says about the people of Jannah, وَنَزَعْنَا مَا فِي صُدُورِهِم مِّن غِلٍّ, that before people actually enter paradise, that ghil needs to be removed from the person's heart. It needs to be removed from a person's chest. Why? Because it is an impure thing, and impure things do not enter paradise. So there are different opinions as to how that happens. One of them is that before the people will enter paradise, they will cross a special stream, and they will be bathed in that stream, and because of that stream, those impurities, they will be removed. Otherwise, if a person has these qualities inside of him, that person cannot enter paradise. That's why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, لا يدخل الجنة من كان في قلبه مثقال ذرة من كبر. A person cannot enter paradise who has an atom's weight of kibr or arrogance in his heart. لا يدخل الجنة قاطع. A person who is a qati', meaning he breaks relationships with people, he will not enter paradise. And if we delve into all of these hadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, these are all related to issues where a person is disliking somebody, he has hatred for somebody, he has impurity in his heart for somebody, and because of that, he himself will not enter paradise. So that has to be removed from our system, and that is very, very important. There are certain instances where it is permissible to engage in a controlled form of ghiba. What is that? First of all, a person has been oppressed. A person has been oppressed, and to get rid of that oppression, he goes to a person in charge, he goes to the authority, he goes to the police, for example. His money has been stolen from him, or somebody burgled his house, he knows who it was, maybe it was a Muslim. So in this case, to go to the police and to report that person, there is nothing wrong with it. He has been the victim of oppression, zulm, so therefore to remove that oppression and to report that oppression to the authorities, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. The second reason that it's permissible to engage in ghiba is to try to get rid of munkar, an evil in a person's life. So you know that a person, he is engaging in a certain type of sin, and you know that his close friend has an influence on him. Now you can go to that close friend and in privacy tell him that, look, this is your close friend, he listens to you, why don't you talk to him, because he's engaging in things which are really inappropriate. So talking to him with a very sincere intention, sincerity in this case, ikhlas, with the intention of really rectifying that person, in this case it is permissible to engage in a certain level of ghiba. The third reason that it could be permissible to engage in ghiba is istifta. Istifta means to seek a fatwa. Again, a person, he has been wronged by somebody, or he feels that he has been wronged by somebody, or sometimes there are disputes that take place between husband and wife. So they go to the Imam or a person in charge or a counselor, and they have to explain their situation to the counselor, and then that person will advise them accordingly. So in this case, to hide the situation that's going on, it would not be appropriate. So to engage in ghiba, for example, the wife complains about her husband in front of somebody, obviously you try to fix the situation in the house, within the confines of the household first, and if it doesn't get fixed, then you go to somebody professional who can help you. So in this case, to talk about what's going on and the reasonings that she or he came to take advice, it is permissible in that situation to engage in a certain level of ghiba. The fourth situation would be to warn the other Muslims about the evil of a person. So for example, you run into a person who's a con man. Okay, he goes around, promises people that he's going to take their money for investment, and then he takes that investment money and runs off with it. Okay, and that person who invested the money never gets that money back. So the person who is being conned in this case, he can go to other people and community members and tell them that, hey, this is what happened to me, you need to be careful, so that other people do not become the victims of his trickery. So it is permissible to warn people so that they do not become victims of that person's trickery, or the person knows that this person, he sells cars, and the cars that he sells, they are maybe taken from junkyards and put together in a way to make them look brand new, but they are very dangerous. Okay, that they would not pass an inspection, and if a person gets involved in an accident, it would be very dangerous for him to be in that particular car, because the shell of the car has been destroyed in a previous accident. So the person knows that he's doing that. So to warn people about this, it would be permissible to engage in a certain level of ghiba. A person sometimes, he does sins openly. A person is committing sins openly, and it's not hidden from other people. Like a person, he is engaging in alcohol, he's drinking openly in the street, or he commits sins and then he discloses the sins to other people, and this is also in itself a sin. The Prophet ﷺ condemned those people that commit sins, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala covered those sins for that person, and then instead of keeping the sins covered, the person goes around and openly, he tells the people that I did such and such a thing last night, and I had great fun last night because I did X, Y, and Z last night. So the sins that are covered by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, a person openly exposes them. So in the case that the person is doing that, so there is nothing hidden anymore. So to warn other people about this person who is openly committing sins, it would not be regarded as ghiba. The sixth situation is that a person, he is known by a particular name. He is known by a particular name. For example, there's a Sahabi, he's named Aqra ibn Habis. The real name of Aqra, the real meaning of Aqra, it means bald. But he became famous by that name. He became known by that name. So to call the person by the name that he is already famous with, not in a demeaning way, but rather to let people know that you're talking about him, and not in a derogatory way, you're using his name with a name that he is famous with. It is permissible to do that, but if you can choose another name, then it is better for you to do that. So now the situation is this, that you have a situation where you have engaged in ghiba of somebody. How do you fix that? How do you actually fix that? And the question is that if you were to tell the person that I talked about you behind your back and your relationship with him was perfectly fine, and now you're telling him that is going to result in problems between yourselves. So what do? The purpose of Sharia is not to cause rifts and breakups and breaking up of relationships between people. So if you feel that that may happen, then what you should do is, in the same majalis, in the same gatherings in which you were talking bad about him, you start speaking good about him. You start speaking good about that person, and that will equal out what you said bad about him, and then the people that you said bad about him in front of, they will realize that that person is good, and the bad that you said about him would be, inshallah, nullified. And also, you should make dua for that person in the case of you having wronged him. Make dua for him and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness. But if you feel that you telling him is going to help and he's not going to mind, then it's better for you to tell him and seek forgiveness from him. And another way could be that you actually come up to him in any given situation and say to him, please brother, if I've wronged you in any way, please forgive me. So this is a general statement that you ask him, and maybe that person might get a hint and he may forgive you for doing that. So this is another way that you can do it without hurting the person's feeling. And one thing that I forgot to mention is, sometimes somebody comes to you for a reference, character reference, and particularly when it comes to marriage. Somebody comes to you and asks you a question that somebody has come for a proposal, and I know this brother, he hangs around with you sometimes, he comes to the masjid sometimes, and I've seen you with him. What do you know about him? So the person really has to be brutally honest in that situation. If he knows any flaws in the character of the person, he needs to make those flaws known. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which a Sahabiya came to the Prophet ﷺ and said, 2 people have asked me for my hand in marriage. And the Prophet ﷺ immediately said that one of them, he is Sa'aluk. Amma ahaduhuma fahuwa Sa'aluk. One of them is Sa'aluk. Sa'aluk means he hasn't got a penny to his name. He doesn't have anything. So if you marry him, you're going to probably get yourself into financial trouble. وَأَمَّا الْآخَرُ فَلَا يَضَعُ عَصَاهُ عَنْ عَاتِقِهِ. The other, he doesn't remove his stick from his shoulder. And this can have 2 meanings. One of them, that he's very strict. Basically, if you do anything wrong, the stick is going to come off and he's going to use it on you. The other meaning is هو كناية عن كثرة السفر. It is an indication that he travels a lot. He puts a stick on his shoulder and he walks around and travels a lot. So the Prophet ﷺ, for both of them, immediately told the Sahabiya that both of them have these flaws, and then he recommended a third person. And then she says that I didn't like this third person, but because the Prophet ﷺ advised me to marry him, I did so, and then I became a woman who was envied because of my household and the fact that my marriage was so blissful. So in the instance of somebody asking you for a character reference, it is permissible also to tell the truth. And it doesn't necessarily have to do with marriage. It can also be for a job. Okay? A person puts you down as a reference, as a job reference. He worked with you in the past. You know, you must tell this new employer the qualities that he had, the good qualities, and the shortfall that he had in the qualities, so that the new employer is aware of what he's getting himself into and whether he wants to hire the person or not. And that's why you have these character references. It's not because he's put your name down, he's your friend, and somebody calls you, oh yeah, he's a great guy, he's a good worker, he's hardworking, and I know him, and yet you're telling a complete lie. So in this situation also, to tell the truth, it is an amana upon you, and you must tell the truth. You must not twist the truth, you must say exactly what it is. So in the case of marriage, somebody comes to you for a character reference. In the case of jobs, character reference, it is important for you to tell the truth, and this inshallah will not be regarded as ghiba. So I hope that inshallah this clears a few things up about the issue of backbiting, and I pray that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protects us from this evil, and He makes us a cohesive and a loving and a united community.